Kohta, good morning.
Yeah, good to see you today.
Yeah, nice to meet you for the first time. So as you know, I'm Shameen Prashantham. I'm an associate professor of international business and strategy here. And I teach the entrepreneurial management course, which you probably also had when you were on campus. Just for our viewers, can you introduce yourself briefly, Kohta?
Okay, I'm a founder and CEO of CureApp, which is a digital health startup in Japan. And I was in the class of 2014 in CEIBS, so I was here between 2012 to 2013. And after that, I went to Johns Hopkins because I was in the dual degree program here.
Right. Well, terrific to meet you, and I'm looking forward to learning a little bit about your startup, how you came about creating it, and what your plans are for the future. In fact, you're a medical doctor by training.
Yes.
And you were the first participant in our dual degree program with Johns Hopkins, which is of course a terrific university in the healthcare space. And after that, you decided to start this company called CureApp. So tell me a little bit about how you identified the opportunity in the first place.
The moment that I came up with the idea of the startup CureApp is when I was in the Johns Hopkins. I think it was October in 2013. And at the time, I was doing the research about health informatics in Johns Hopkins. And I have read so many papers, academics, research, and I found that.
Sorry, so you said health informatics. So that's basically the intersection of information technology and health?
Yeah, health informatics is kind of academic fields of health ITs. When you talk about health ITs, it's more like ITs which applied into the healthcare.
Sure.
But when you talk about informatics, it's something like research or academics to see or evaluate the power of the technology in healthcare. So
Got it.
It's kind of a similar, but definition is kind of different.
Right. So you were reading academic papers in this area, and then what happened?
Yeah, and one of the papers that my faculties recommend me to read, and it shows that it's about the applications which diabetes patients use every day. And a few months later, the data shows the patient who use the app, it's much better outcomes than the patient who don't use the applications. So at the time, I was kind of surprised because when you talk about the treating patient, doctors always thinking about using medications or medical device to cure disease. But it's not medication or medical device. It's application. It's totally different concept of like treatment tool. So at the time when I found out the evidence of the applications, I could see the future that in the hospital in the future doctors take advantage of the power of medication, medical device, and also applications. So at the time, there was a moment that I came up with my ideas of the CureApp.
Super. And so you go back to Japan, and then you decide to start it. Now, we all know that for entrepreneurs, putting together a team is very important.
Yes, exactly.
How did you go about that? Did you try to identify a co-founder?
After I came up with the ideas, I was thinking about who would be the right person to ask to get into my team. And Shin Suzuki, he's kind of a co-founder of the CureApp. The guy came to in my mind, and because we are in the same club in the universities. Interesting about him is he's a medical doctor, but at the same time he can do programming. There are not so many people something like that, so I invite him to join. But at the beginning he was interested in my companies, but still he was not motivated to do the full commitment to my company because it was just kind of beginning of the startup. So there's no companies, there's no money, there's no something like a trend in Japan. So at the time he was doing research and he wanted to focus on the research. But I did ask again him join, and I think when I gave him a title of CTO, I thought that he was kind of moved. And my company got financed by some successfully, and he decided to come to my companies.
Great. So what is CureApp?
Okay, CureApp is the digital health startups, and the application we develop is the automation system which provide educational and also behavior change guidance to patient.
Right.
And the core technology of the application is that the algorithm of the system. When I see a patient, and like listening to the patient voice or blood data or other kind of medical data, we diagnose the status and provide appropriate treatment guidance to patient. So the system do the same things on behalf of doctors. So that is a kind of a core technologies.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about founding a startup in Japan.
Founding a startup in Japan is kind of a difficult, more difficult than doing that in United States or in China. When you look at a startup in the US, there are so many stakeholders, so many people, so many startups, so many investors, so many supporters.
Support, there's more support in the
there's more supportive
ecosystem.
ecosystem. But Japan also has the ecosystem, but that's not so big as the US or China. So it's not so easy to do the startup in Japan. But still, this kind of atmosphere is moving to go positive right now. So we are having more and more startups and more and more investors, and also money comes into this kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay. So tell me a little bit about the key milestones that you've achieved so far.
The business model we are doing is similar to the business model of the bio ventures.
Okay.
So we have achieved 3 clinical trials in Japan so far.
Right.
Feasibility studies and intervention studies, and also like official randomized control study to get the approval from the government. And we have achieved 3 of them already. So we are kind of doing the process of getting a regulatory approval for the application, which is going to be the first case in Japan.
Okay, wonderful. And you've raised money already, you've said.
Yeah, we financed so far 4 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we did Series A, B, C, D, and totally we financed about 20 million USD so far. And actually we are doing the final pre-IPO round right now, so it's going to be the last round.
So clearly you are already being seen as a very promising startup, you're making progress, but I'm sure given your educational experience, which combined both China and the US, the 2 biggest economies in the world, I'm sure going forward you have plans to expand beyond Japan.
Yeah, of course. In the last 4 years, we focus on Japan because it's kind of main market for us. But this year, we have actually started the business in the US, and we are also in the process of getting FDA clearance right now.
Right.
So hopefully, in the few years later, I want to come back here, China. I want to start expand business here. So that is kind of future plan. So
the US is probably the immediate term expansion, and then China maybe in the medium term.
Yes, exactly.
How do you view China? What was the impact of having studied here at CEIBS and in China? How has that impacted you in terms of looking at China now for opportunities?
It was huge impact on me, like CEIBS MBA program. And before I enter the CEIBS, I was in the hospital and doing the clinical work and seeing a Japanese patient. So that was a great job, but it's kind of it gives me some kind of limited view of the world.
Right.
So after I get into the CEIBS, I have seen a lot of papers like from many countries, and each of them are different. So I was impressed. And one thing that I found is that everyone is really really like positive for the future. That was kind of that gave me a great impact on me. So that pushed me to go to new world.
And as you expand this business beyond Japan into the US and China, what do you expect that you may have to do differently in these markets?
Yeah, basically the product is the same. The business model is the same. But what is different? That is people and cultures. Because I have lived in these countries, so I have seen many peoples. People are in each country. People are different. So that's kind of that could be a challenge. But at the same time, I think I'm going to enjoy the challenge to overcome.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. Specifically in relation to the sort of application CureApp is, can you give me an example of how, say, American consumers will be different from Japanese consumers or Chinese consumers might be different?
One of the products we are developing in Japan is that we are developing a CureApp for hypertension.
Right.
The application provides some lifestyle guidance to a patient. And for example, in Japan, the application provides some guidance to avoid miso soup. Because in Japan, everyone drinks miso soup, but miso soup induces hypertension. But when you are talking about the application in the US, they don't drink miso soup. So on behalf of that, we provide some guidance like other kind of avoid food.
Avoid burgers, not too many
something
burgers.
like that. Yeah. So it's about cultures.
Not too much fries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think it's very fascinating, the entrepreneurial journey you're on, and very interesting to see how you're combining your past professional background as a medic, but also your home base in Japan and the exposure you got in China and the US. And I wish you lots of luck. I hope that, 2-3 years from now we can have another conversation and hear
that'd be great.
how you've been a successful international startup.
Yeah.
But terrific to meet you and good talking to you.
Okay, good to see you today.